Hey there, gang. Dave from Gamble Smart. I want to tell you about hosts, how to get one, what they do, and why the big deal is about them. But make sure you like, share, subscribe. I'll be right back. All right, so this has been brought up on a live stream multiple times. We've talked about it before, but I want to make sure to do a quick video for you guys so you understand. But back to that like, share, subscribe thing I mentioned a second ago. We're on our way to 50,000 and we really want to hit 75,000 by the time October comes around, and we need your help. So hit that subscribe button, hit that bell to stay notified so you know when we're going live and all our new videos drop. So hosts, it's kind of like the mysterious thing about casinos, like, ooh, I want a host. What can I do to get a host? What does a host do for me? So let me go over first what a host does for you, the player. If you have a host, the host will essentially book your travel. They're essentially like your travel agent, your restaurant booker, the person who can make charges go away on your account, the person who can get you into rooms that you can't otherwise. Maybe can get you a dinner reservation when there's none available, get you show tickets when those are sold out. A host has a lot of a power and a lot of abilities. There is a huge asterisk on this. It's all based on your play. If you do not play enough, you are not going to get a host. Now, here's a little thing about that. How do you know you've played enough to get a host? You don't. That's the trick. You don't know if you've played enough to get a host or not, because you have to kind of know, essentially, what the threshold is at a certain property to get a host. I do not recommend chasing to get a host. If it happens, it will happen naturally. If you feel like you are betting enough to get a host, I'm going to go over in a second about how you can get one and some tricks, especially a trick by our buddy George suggested a while ago. So, you're a gambler. You're playing in slots, you're playing in table games, whatever it is. As you build up a relationship with a casino and you start playing more and more, you have won big or you have lost big. It really doesn't matter to a host. What they want to see is, one, a certain tier of play. Different properties, for example, let's say Excalibur on one end of the tier and Aria on the other end of the tier, have different demands for what a host qualifies at. So let's just say, for instance, you're gambling at Aria. Just throwing out numbers, $10,000 in a day gambling might get you a host. Whereas over at Excalibur, $10,000 will for sure get you a host because it is a lower tier property. Here's the big hint on that one. The Excalibur host can get you booked at Aria. Anyone across a platform usually can get you booked at other properties. Caesars, MGM are very much like this. A Caesars host can help you get a property of another property, no problem. However, if you are, let's say, at Horseshoe St. Louis, your St. Louis Caesars host may not be able to get you great comps or anything really at Las Vegas. But your Las Vegas host can almost assuredly get you great comps at other properties. The whole thing on what qualifies as the higher tier of it. If you're at Caesar's Palace, you got a host. That Caesar's Palace host can get you in on anywhere. He's going to really want you to come back in and see you, though. But what does the host get out of it? The host gets paid on what you are playing. The host is kind of like a talent headhunter. They're looking for talent. A manager of a baseball player is not going to pick a low-level baseball player unless he sees potential there to become the major leagues. The exact same thing works in casino betting. A host is wanting to build up their team of high-level players, players that are high rollers, or fairly high-level players who play often. So if you are a $5,000 a trip gambler, that's your budget for, let's say, 2 days is $5,000, but you come 5 to 6 times a year, you might get a host. If you are a $10,000 a trip gambler, but you only come once a year, you may not get a host. See, it's all on the whole, what can you do for me on the host end? That host is there to sort of develop you as a player, meaning they're trying to get you to play more. But how they do this is by giving you more comps, dinner, clearing off things off your bill that even don't take off your actual comps, so those aren't hit there next time. I actually know several players who have a large comp balance built up. Express comps is what they're called over on the MGM side, and they don't access those because their host wipes their bill clean. So that's a huge benefit to a lot of players, especially those at that higher level limit that enjoy very nice rooms, very nice meals, and then they don't have to worry about paying a cent out of their pocket except for the gambling money. That host does expect you to gamble at least the level that you have played previously. Everyone has an off trip. If you have a host and you know for a fact you are not going to be gambling heavy, tell your host, hey, this is a family trip. I'm coming with my family. I'm probably not going to be gambling heavy, so you're probably not going to see the amount of play that I usually do. The host is most likely still going to book everything for you because they want that play next time when you come back to make it up to them. And so that's what they really do. So how do you get a host if you maybe don't qualify? Well, I'm going to tell you one tip from our buddy George, who actually, this was one of the best tips I've heard in a long time. You call up the casino you're going to. Let's just say you're a medium level player, okay? $2,000 for a trip, for a 2-day trip, so $1,000 a day essentially. All right? Here's the hook that George suggested. You call up. See how I'm old? I'm using the phone like this instead of like that. Okay. So you call up and you say, hi, I'm actually coming to your property soon, and I would like to, instead of wasting my trip to where no one gets it, I was wondering if you wanted my business and you wanted to book me on this trip. They're going to book your actual comps. For one, they're going to make sure it's in it for them. So they're probably going to look at your play and make sure that you're the type of player they want to grab. But remember, money's in it for them by having you come and gamble. So this might be your sort of backdoor way to getting a host. That host will probably say, yeah, I'd like to book you on this. Or they might recommend you to another host or a player communication specialist. It's kind of like a junior host to help you out. This is a great way to try to grab that host in there. Start the conversation off of what you can do for them. Hey, I'm a regular gambler with so-and-so property. I'd like to come out, but I don't want my play just to go to nobody. I was wondering if you'd want this action or you want this booking. And then that's when they're going to decide or maybe ship you off. If you, let's say, get a junior host, a player communication specialist, or something of the like, do not worry. They are the exact same as a regular host, but they may be handling multiple small accounts rather than just a few big accounts or maybe, multiple large accounts. So if you want to host, try your best to get one, but do not gamble to try to get a host. Let it happen in the natural course of action. Let it happen to where the host comes to you. Maybe you have to go into the host office and say, hey, will you rate my play? Or do I earn a host? But here's something from our last live stream that's very important. Some host areas, they're generally an office, you cannot get into unless you have a host. If you go to a property like this, Boyd Properties was brought up as an example of this, that host office is only available to hosted players. So it's going to be very hard for you, the player, to go meet a host while you're on property. And so that's why calling or emailing is going to be a great way to start that relationship out. Maybe you're right on the edge, and maybe you've got a host who wants to develop new players, and they're going to go after you if you meet the criteria for those. And if you're on the kind of edge of it, they might grab it anyway. Gamble smart, gamble safe. Mark and I are going to be back soon. Also remember, we've got that Wendover trip happening in 2 weeks on the 10th and 11th of August. And then we're going to be in Vegas for G2E. Our meetup is October the 7th. Make sure you go and sign up for that because it's going to be an absolute blast. We're going to take over. It's lots of fun. Gamble smart, gamble safe. More coming at you soon.